Introducing the second best buffalo thing, Cheetos Crunchy Buffalo. Nothing beats buffalo wings on game day, but with a tangy and cheesy buffalo flavor, Cheetos Crunchy Buffalo is proud to be the second best buffalo thing. Grab Cheetos Crunchy Buffalo today.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Yeah, that's actually quite interesting because my next question was maybe going to be around who you would pick for the midfield in this game because, you know, you look at that Leverkusen team and, of course, they've got great players out wide. They've got Grimaldo and Frimpong on either wing. They have fantastic centre midfielders. But the one kind of issue with this Leverkusen team right now at the moment seems to be that, you know, they're still really missing Victor Boniface. You know, Patrick Schick has tried, Iglesias has come in, but he's obviously still a very new player who's still learning how to play at Leverkusen. And as we saw in the Pokal game against Stuttgart, it almost feels like Florian Wirtz is dragging this team through games, one game to the match. You know, he's just been so incredible, and that kind of late assist for Jonathan Tah is a perfect example of it. So, you know, if you are Thomas Tuchel, I think if you have this Leverkusen lineup in front of you, you're circling that Wirtz name in red ink, you know, 4 or 5 times, saying we have to stop this guy. How do you think Bayern do stop Florian Wirtz? Do you think it's Kimmich? Do you think it's Goretzka? Or do you think this is exactly why Pavlovic has been brought into the team?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I hadn't thought about that. I would say Pavlovic, for all his strengths, is not that classical defensive midfielder either. You know, he's very good on the ball and he likes going forward. He's creative. So I don't think it will be his job. I could see out of the players you named, perhaps Goretzka most doing that because he's physical, he's fast. But I think it's a team effort to take Florian Wirtz out of the game. I think it's just that hard. He can get away from most opponents. He can drift in the areas up front. He can kind of play anywhere. And I think if he's lucky, with Adli's return from the Africa Cup of Nations, you know, maybe there'll be some less pressure on him in terms of attack because, like you said, Boniface has been out. Iglesias was only recently signed, and pretty much in January, the front 3 or 4 players for Leverkusen were decided from the get-go. And now with Teller getting better and becoming an option on the wings as well, it gives Xabi Alonso more options, and perhaps it can take some of the weight off Florian Wirtz's shoulders to be the sole creator.
Yeah. I remember that first game against Leverkusen at the start of the season, and I was really quite startled just how much space Bayern gave Wirtz in front of the Bayern backline. You know, that space between Kimmich and Upamecano or De Ligt, I can't remember who played that day, but there was that pocket of space which Wirtz just constantly found the ball, and he was maybe a little wasteful in possession, but the fact that he kept getting to those positions was really worrying for Bayern, and I'm sure Tuchel noticed that day, and I'm sure it's something that he'll try to address. But as you said, you know, despite all of Bayern's strengths and despite all the money they've spent, they still don't really have a traditional or, you know, proven defensive midfielder who can just sit in that position and block that channel for Wirtz. So, I mean, that's probably one of the main danger areas. But, you know, before we finish up, maybe worth just talking about that, the kind of weaknesses in this team. Do you think there are any kind of key issues for Bayern going into this game that Leverkusen could really exploit?
Yeah, I think without Upamecano, you certainly have a chance if you make it past the last line of defense that Bayern has. You have a lot of space, you know, to run at goal because he is their fastest defender. And I think this will be a really important game for Eric Dyer to show that he's up to the task of playing for such a quality team. This is certainly the best opposition he's faced in a Bayern jersey. So I think that's a potential area of weakness for Leverkusen to exploit, especially like you said, because those areas do open up. Because Bayern they like to play a high line and keep the ball. And I was at that game in Munich in the first half of the season, the 2-2 against Leverkusen. And you're completely right to point out that Wirtz often had too much space. Frimpong often had way too much space on his side as well. So yeah, I think it will be, it will be a big effort from Thomas Tuchel to defend Bayer Leverkusen well enough. But he has the tactical acumen to do that. He's shown that he can prepare big teams against big opponents, and so we'll see if it's enough. But I'm still very curious about how the back line will operate. Bayern's back line, I think that will be key for them to win or to get points. I think that's really what it comes down to for them, because up top they can always score. And if Musiala can score, Thomas Müller can score, Tell when he comes on, although he hasn't scored much lately, but he's always a threat. So it's more, I think, on the defensive end where Bayern has to really pull together.
Introducing the second best buffalo thing, Cheetos Crunchy Buffalo. Nothing beats buffalo wings on game day, but with a tangy and cheesy buffalo flavor, Cheetos Crunchy Buffalo is proud to be the second best buffalo thing. Grab Cheetos Crunchy Buffalo today.